are these guys? It's my theme music. Every good hero should have some.
All right, everyone, this is Tim with Online Big Blue, bringing you the best in your giant sports talk and entertainment. Sometimes you like being sick because you want to know why? It gives you a deeper voice. So now I have even more of a melodious radio voice. Being sick sucks. This sucks. Thanks for all the well wishes in the comments and the DMs and the emails yesterday. I really appreciate it. Am I feeling better? No. Hopefully I'll get feeling a little bit better before Friday. Still want to do a stream. Wanted to cover the next game tomorrow, but tonight. I don't think I'm going to be able to do that as well. I did want to talk about Evan Engram, and I did want to talk about the Trolls and Daniel Jones. First, Evan Engram. If you think you can get a 5th round pick or greater for Evan Engram, you make the trade. Plain and simple. Don't even think about it. The problem is, if you think you're not going to get anything more than that or better than that, you don't make the trade. Because his trade value at the end of the year for the compensatory pick will probably be about a 5th rounder. So if you can build up his value, you keep him. Now, you're, of course, rolling the dice that he's going to stay healthy and he's going to play well, but he was a Pro Bowler last year. I mean, so that's the way you got to look at it. And then you also have to look at it from a team standpoint. Are you willing to ride the rest of the season with Caden Smith and Kyle Rudolph? Kyle Rudolph, for all intents and purposes, is washed up. You can't tell me the way he's playing that he's not washed up. And our old buddy Caden Smith, I've said it a million times, he's a 3rd tight end at best. He's an adequate blocker. He's going to find his spot in the zone. He's going to get you 7-8 yards, but he's not going to get you much else. People are going to point to preseason when there's a big touchdown, basically when they were playing against grocery baggers. But that's all right. I like the people yesterday when they got mad at me because I said they're garbage players in the NFL. Yeah, they're garbage players in the NFL. Sorry. Sorry to offend your delicate sensibilities, but there are. I can name probably like 30. Sometimes guys are in the NFL just because of injuries. Doesn't mean they're good. Doesn't mean they should be there. People need to grow up a little bit. I want to talk about Daniel Jones. Oh, the Trolls and Daniel Jones. The Trolls and me have this love-hate affair about Daniel Jones. I don't hate Daniel Jones. I've said it a million times, and evidently people don't listen to those parts of the videos, when I say he needs to progress for the Giants to progress. He needs to be good for the Giants to be good. But he's too up and down. And then people get mad at me because I don't fluctuate my opinion. No, I'm sorry. And people are like, well, and I love some of the other comments. I'm so mad at you because you don't change your opinion on Daniel Jones. I've seen people change their opinion on Daniel Jones weekly. When he has a bad game, the Daniel Jones lovers and trolls are gone for a week. He has a good game or a solid game, they're back in force. Stick to your convictions. I don't like Daniel Jones for obvious reasons. I did a breakdown video the other day where I pointed out how he was in the low 20s in every passing statistic within the league. And how certain quarterbacks who probably shouldn't even be starting quarterbacks have more touchdowns, have more yards, higher completion percentage. You can love Daniel Jones all you want. That's fine. Doesn't bother me any. But you need to come correct with facts. Don't look at a span of a game and then tell me he's the guy. He's the second coming, because this is year 3 now. The kid is 10-23. I love how people will say a 23 for 33 yards for 203 yards is a good game. You're under the average completion of 7.5, but 6.5, which means he's not looking deep. And then I love when he carried the team on his back. No, he didn't. The defense did. The game was 3-5. It was 18-3 until they went for it on 4th and 16 within their own 30. And then we got the garbage touchdown from Booker. He didn't carry the team on the back. Then people overlooked the Ram game where he's 29 for 51 with 3 interceptions. We don't, and 2 fumbles, 5 turnovers. Well, I should say that 4 turnovers because they did recover 1 fumble. We don't look at that. And then he was only 5 for 13 in the Dallas game before he got hurt. But again, we don't want to look at that game. But we will point out the 28 for 40 for 402 and 2 touchdowns and an interception in the Saints game. But then we kind of lose sight of the 24-35 for 266 with no touchdowns, no interceptions, and 2 fumbles in the Atlanta game. Or the big costly fumble in the Denver game, where he only went 22 of 37 for 267 and a touchdown and the very costly fumble. But we don't want to point any of that out. We don't want to go break down his game log for his entire career and take a look at what he's done. Everyone points to his rookie season, how that's the benchmark. No, there's plenty of guys that have had fantastic rookie seasons who went into the tank and did not play well after that. But if you want to look at 2019, let's look at 2019. He had 4 touchdowns in the Detroit shootout. Then he kind of had a bad game against Dallas, where he was 26 for 41 for 210, and he had the 2 fumbles and the interception. Then he had the big game against the Jets, and again, it's the Jets, where we barely won that game. We lost that game, 27-34. And then he had the 5-touchdown game against the win in Washington towards the end of the season. So in 3 games, he had 13 touchdowns. You subtract that, that's 11 touchdowns and 12 interceptions. And 19 fumbles. Okay, so then you sit there and say, well, let's look at 2020. 2020 should have been his progression year because everyone points to Josh Allen and Eli Manning. How many multiple touchdown games did Daniel Jones have that year? He had 1, 2, 3, 4. And the highest was 2. How many games with interceptions did he have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And remember, he didn't even play in a lot of those games. He missed some of these. He missed 2 games, which he was inactive for. How many fumbles did he have? 11. So he went from his vaunted 24 touchdown passes, or whatever it was. And remember, we subtracted all those 1 game. And he, again, has 11 touchdowns and 10 interceptions for only 293 yards. Where he's averaging 6.57 yards a completion, when the league average is over 7. Okay. I'm not seeing the progression. You can point out to highlights in games. Yes, of course. He's had his moments in games. But there is nothing there that tells me that I want to spend $35 million on Daniel Jones when he comes up for free agency. There's nothing there that tells me that yet. I've said this a million times. You put together a block of games, 6, 7, 8 games in a row, where you play consistently and you play well. Then there's something to talk about. But at the moment, you can't have a good game, a bad game, 2 bad games, a good game. You can. And to think that a franchise quarterback throws 23 of 33 for 203 and 1 touchdown, that's throwing your team on the back. That's not. You've watched Eli Manning carry his team in the 2-minute drill. You watched Eli Manning carry his team to victories. This kid's not Eli Manning, and he doesn't have to be Eli Manning. But he's not more Dave Brown than he is Eli Manning. He's somewhere in between Dave Brown and Danny Cannell. It's not that, it's not that horrid. Now, what's funny? If you want to actually go back and look at Dave Brown's Giants and his stats, people forget Dave Brown had a winning record his first season as a starting quarterback, which was his 3rd year. He went 9-6, 12 touchdowns, 16 interceptions. But he also had some good games sprinkled in. It wasn't like that he was completely horrid. Now, if you go back and look at the 1994 season, he had a couple games where, he threw for multiple touchdowns. He's also had games where he threw for multiple interceptions. He was up and down, same as Daniel Jones. But the team still won. And they went out and won their last 6 games in a row. He got benched for the year. I remember him getting benched from the Arizona game, which we lost still. But you know what? He He had his ups and downs. But you could tell after his year 3 of being a starter that he wasn't the guy. Daniel Jones' biggest issue is the fact that you have no baseline for what he is. And I love the people when you say, well, he's the best scrambling quarterback the Giants have ever had. Best rushing quarterback. No, he's not. Franz Harkington is still the best scrambling quarterback because Daniel Jones is not a scrambler. He's a runner. There's a difference. Michael Vick was a scrambler and a runner. Lamar Jackson is a scrambler and a runner. Daniel Jones, the majority of his plays are built by design. Now, people always point out his big runs. If you take a look at his big runs, mainly they're against Philadelphia. Why? Because Jason Garrett took advantage of the over-aggressiveness style of the Philadelphia defense and called design runs. Once you get him with downhill speed, he's fine. You're right. But he's not a scrambler. I've said it a million times. He's a point guard who cannot create his own shot. Then people always go back and point to the record of Eli Manning in his first 3 seasons compared to Daniel Jones. The Eli Manning of 2004 was 1-6. He should not have been starting. During the Baltimore game, Coughlin wanted to bench Eli. And what happened? Kurt Warner said no. Kurt Warner said, if you're going to ride with this kid and you're benching me for all these games, you got to keep with him. You can't break his confidence. He'll get it right. He'll do it. He'll get it right. And that, in 2005, he was 11-5. 2006, he was 8-8. 2007, 10-6, 12-4 in 2008 with his first Pro Bowl season. Eli, you always had a feeling was the franchise guy. No matter his ups and downs, Eli had a lot of ups and downs, but a lot of that had to do with Kevin Gilbride. Daniel Jones his offense is built for him not to make mistakes. Jason Garrett and Joe Judge have built an offense for Daniel Jones where it helps eliminate his mistakes, which is why you're never going to really see him have those big 400-yard performances because he throws it short, he tries to protect the ball, and he tries not to make the mistakes. The only problem, when you do that, you limit your offense. Doesn't matter how many weapons you have. And he still holds on to the ball way too much in the pocket. I love when people put, we have the worst offensive line, but then you find out he holds the ball like 4.5 seconds in the pocket, which is way too long. That's way too long if you're not going deep. And getting back to Kevin Gilbride. Kevin Gilbride kind of screwed up Eli Manning in the beginning part of his career. That's where all the interceptions came from, because Kevin Gilbride made Eli Manning a gunslinger. If anyone remembers between the 2004 and 2008 season, Kevin Gilbride was just chuck it up there, man. Chuck it up there and see what happens. If you look at Eli's progression then when the doo-doo came in as the offensive coordinator and changed it more to a West Coast style, Eli's Manning's stats went all up. 63%, 4,400 yards, 30 touchdowns, 14 interceptions. That was in 14. How we didn't make the Pro Bowl in that year, I don't know. 15, again, 62%, 4,400 yards, 35 touchdowns, 14 interceptions. What happened? Very, very, very simple. What happened? They changed the offensive philosophy, made Eli more of a West Coast passer. But even with Eli the gunslinger having problems, he was still throwing for over 20 touchdowns a year. Still. All I'm saying this is, if you want to defend your guy, that's fine. But don't come after me because of the fact that I don't see what you see. Everyone's allowed to have their opinion on their quarterback. If you cannot statistically look at this guy for an extended period of time and point to me where he has a progression of games, at least 6 to 8, where he's shown steady improvement, that's what I'm talking about. Steady improvement. We're going into year 4. We're almost in the middle part of year 3, headed into year 4, and still really have no clue what he is. You want to point out that he made a great catch because he's a good athlete? Sure, go ahead. That's fine. That doesn't do diddly poop when you're a quarterback. That's from Josie Wales. That tough talk just means diddly poop. I was watching Josie Wales yesterday. The Outlaw Josie Wales with Clint Eastwood. Because I'm sick and I got nothing else to do. But until you can show me a progression for Daniel Jones, that's my opinion's not going to change. And I would think you would respect somebody more if they didn't change their opinions like they changed their underwear. Just because he has one good game I'm not anointing him the next great Giants quarterback because he has one bad game. I'm not saying dump him. All I'm saying is show a progression of games. And like I said, I would rather have someone stick to their convictions and then be proven wrong, and I'll be the first one to admit when I'm wrong, than have someone flip-flop every week. Because if you're just going to flip-flop every week, then you really don't have an opinion. Be a man, stick to your convictions, stick to your opinions until you are proven wrong. And Daniel Jones has not proven me wrong yet. And again, this is Tim with Online Big Blue, bringing the best of New York Giants sports talk and entertainment. And as always, if you could like, if you subscribe, ring that bell thing that means, that'd be awesome.